What up, what up, what up, everybody? Welcome to the Sunday broadcast, Madden Underground Game Day.
A mug.
Madden Underground Tailgate.
Mutt.
You know what I'm saying? What's good? We got B-Guard with the green screen showing the game in the background.
Copyrights.
Yeah, we got a lot going on, man. But great day of football. Like some great day of football. 3 big upsets in the first half of the games, and then we almost had nearly a upset in the second half. But nonetheless, we had a great game between the Chiefs and the Bills. Great game. How do y'all feel about today's display of football?
Would you like to go first, Philly?
I think so, because your team, who happens to be my home team, they don't play. They play next. So I'll go first, Mr. James. That's an excellent question. I'd like to tell you we witnessed a tremendous amount of football. Specifically, the New York Jets went into Lambeau Field, and they dominated the Packers. And that's what made it a great day of football. Nobody really cares about this whole Bills-Chiefs thing. It's all about Jets and Packers. It was amazing. They won, and they did it in a dominant fashion. Mic drop. I'm out.
Okay. What about you, B-Guard?
Yeah, it's kind of shot. Like the Jets didn't just beat the Packers; they dominated them, like in Lambeau Field. Like, they look very promising. I don't know if they're going to be a playoff team this year, but the future looks bright. Also, other games like you got the Giants over the Ravens. Like the Giants, like I know Snipes ain't here, but I bet he's stoked about that. They at the end of the night they could end up being tied for first, and they've beat some pretty good teams that we think are pretty good teams. It's not like they're just beating up on some slacker, hoping for the number one pick teams. They beat the Ravens and they beat the Packers. And maybe the Packers, maybe they aren't as good as we think they are. The Ravens, I feel like, I just don't know. There's just something missing with the Ravens. And I'm not quite sure what it is. But if he were here, and I feel like if Snipes were here, he'd be going crazy about the Giants. 5-1. They have something to believe in. They probably have the coach of the year. Daniel Jones looks like a competent quarterback. Saquon's doing his thing. That defense has been pretty solid. So, hats off to those teams.
Thank you, BJ. I know that was tough for you, B-Guard. Thank you. And
For
good
the
luck
Giants,
tonight.
man.
Good luck tonight.
That's not for the Jets. I don't have a dog in the fight. If anything, I'm rooting for Zach Wilson, a Utah kid. Rooting for the Utah kid.
You had to go and ruin it.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to talk
I don't know about
Utah.
him. I will say that I'm not so sure about him.
Okay,
but you got the win.
Yes, we did. Thank you. What did you see today, Brian James?
Well, I'm a Twitter head. I like to go check on Twitter, see what they're talking about. And right now, Allen Robinson is trending.
No, it can't be for good things.
Well, he got a touchdown today. He
did.
Yeah, he got a touchdown today. But it's just like I think, and with all of the media talking about Odell, with the situation with Odell, him saying that they didn't offer him something realistic to come back, or they saying that wasn't the final offer, that was just to get the ball rolling. How do you guys feel about that? The disappointment Allen Robinson's been for the Rams, and them not really bringing Odell back. I thought it was a big mistake to get rid of Robert Woods, given his ability to block. And I think he still has a little bit left in the tank. I think he's a better receiver than Allen Robinson, in my opinion. But given the production level that Allen Robinson's had over the years, I can see why they would think that he would be a vast improvement. But
yeah, like with Allen Robinson, it's kind of a case of look at the quarterbacks he's played with. Like it's a kind of a murderer's row of ass, I'll call it. He's played with Blake Bortles, played with Mitch Trubisky, whoever the hell, Mike Glennon. Just quarterbacks you just wouldn't want to be your franchise cornerstone. Like Stafford's the best quarterback that he's been around, and it's taken a while for him to get settled in, I guess. But Stafford's also known to be having his favorite target and then just throwing to that target. So maybe this is a step in the right direction for him. But also in that same game, Robbie Anderson got asked to leave by his coaches, which I'm sure we'll follow up. We'll get followed up on that. I mean, Eddie, it's kind of funny that the quarterback, I guess Baker's hurt, but it's kind of funny that Baker Mayfield's the quarterback, and wherever Baker goes, the receivers seem to be unhappy. So I find that kind of funny. That's I just. Like,
but you can't put that on Baker because Robbie Anderson before the season started.
Oh no, I wasn't. I wasn't doing that. Upset. I just find the coincidence very funny.
Well, Baker didn't play today.
But he had something to do with it.
Yeah, he's hurt, and Sam Darnold didn't play. He's hurt.
It's like, how am I supposed to get my incentives, coach, if he won't throw to me?
Yeah, so it's a lot of frustration in Carolina, and they have a lot to be frustrated about. You don't really have a quarterback.
Don't really have a coach.
You really don't have a coach.
Yeah.
I think they got a new owner, right? So it's kind of like I think
they're a mess.
Yeah,
they are a mess.
There's a lot going on in Carolina. So what about let's talk about the Commanders? Another mess. Wentz is not delivering. They won. They beat the Bears on Thursday night, though.
That's not saying too much.
No, it's not because there were. I think it was another week with no touchdowns, right?
No, they had a touchdown.
Oh, okay. So there was a touchdown in the game, but it's
Brian Robinson had a touchdown.
Okay, Brian. Okay, yeah.
Well, that's a cool story. Like, got shot
story.
in first game, scores a touchdown.
I thought him coming out to Mini Men was pretty dope too. By 50 Cent. That was actually a pretty dope intro.
That was pretty dope. So problem with Carson Wentz, he can make any throw that's possible. Like, he has that arm talent. He also has the worst decision making I've ever seen. So it's literally Jekyll and Hyde. Which Carson Wentz are you going to get from week to week? Like, there's just peaks and valleys. It's actually kind of frustrating when you really look at it. It's because I'm an Eagles fan and I saw it firsthand, and I remember the minute I was done with him, he was against the Seahawks, and he had a wide open dude in the flat and then overthrow him by like 5 yards. I was like, all right, I've seen enough.
But see, that's not fair though, because you're referencing when he was with the Eagles, and
he hasn't been much better.
I'm just saying. Would you say that it's fair that when he got hurt during that Super Bowl run, that he hasn't been the same quarterback since?
No, but I think there's also accountability issues too with him, because it's not just the Eagles locker room that didn't like him towards the end. The Colts locker room seemed not to be too crazy about him either. And they seemed pretty happy about him leaving, that they'd rather have 600-year-old Matt Ryan be the quarterback. They'd rather that than have Carson Wentz, who's got the arm talent, but the decision-making is suspect. I also want to talk about like Ron Rivera. Like, man, like I get that this guy's not really performed for you, but like, you can't be throwing him under the bus like that. Like, it's not just the quarterback that's wrong with your team. Well, there's a lot of things wrong with your team, including that defense. That defense is not good, especially in that secondary. That secondary is bad.
Yeah, well, they got rid of Jackson, so that they should be improving in the secondary just by that move alone.
I mean, still, like, your bread and butter's defense. It's it's just, I just wouldn't throw my core. I just wouldn't say like, well, what's the reason why you guys aren't as good as the other three teams in your division? Quarterback. I mean, Daniel Jones ain't nothing to write home about. Like, don't get me started about Cooper Rush.
I think the issue with Carson Wentz though has been his ability to follow instructions and getting out there and deviating from what's been told to him to do.
I've heard from numerous Philly fans that Carson Wentz used to be a guy that he thinks he knows everything.
Yeah, so he has a known ability to deviate from whatever the coach is telling him. And if you told him, if you're a coach and you're like, hey, we need you to do this, and he goes out and does something completely different, and you say, what's the difference in the quarterback? I mean, the team's winning, the quarterback's following instructions. Maybe you should have said that, like the quarterback following instructions.
Yeah,
but and I guess that's I guess that's a valid point, but like when you have Daniel Jones who I just praised, like he looks competent. I didn't say he looked great, but and then you got Cooper Rush, like who last week in a win completed 10 passes. I mean, that's not exactly franchise quarterback material. And then Jalen Hurts, who's having a breakout year and probably going to go against one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best, coming up. Because I feel like that Cowboys defense looks special.
Yeah.
Like they look
That's
special.
gonna be a good game tonight. It's gonna be a great game tonight. I think that game might be just as good as this Bills game we just watched.
Like yeah. I just think it's ridiculous that it's just your quarterback. It's not.
Well, if you break it down, the Titans. Let's go back to the Titans game. Mm-hmm. They should have won that game. They got down there. They called all the right calls. They made all the right plays, and whatever the check down was, he deviated from.
Mm-hmm.
And it resulted in an interception that cost them the game. And it's like, and I know when you got a quarterback like Wentz and a coach like Rivera. So Rivera's like, yo,
here's my point.
This the check down. Hit the check down.
Here's my point. Okay, so then why not take him out and put the next guy in? Because he had a quick hook for Dwayne Haskins when he was there. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of differences. I mean, you guys keep dancing around it, but nobody's talking about Snyder. We all know Riverboat Ron. We know what he brings to the table. You say he threw his quarterback under the bus. I'm saying that they are creating controversy to take all the attention away from Snyder, because if you've been following the news and you know all the dirt that Snyder's been gathering that he wants to drop because he has a feeling that he may be going down. I mean, what do? You got Riverboat Ron. You don't expect anything out of him. You got Carson Wentz, controversial quarterback. You don't expect anything out of him. This team was not built to win. They had an opportunity to go out and try to pursue Daboll, just like the Giants did. So all these teams that are struggling, from the Panthers to the Commanders, they had an opportunity to try to get Daboll to come to their team.
Well,
they didn't do it. And to me, the Giants are the benchmark for all of the failing teams that we see. And I know we'll talk about those Arizona Cardinals, but they are the benchmark for why people aren't.
To be fair, 2 years ago, the Commanders made the playoffs. The Commanders made the playoffs 2 years ago. So that's probably why Rivera wasn't fired, because they made the playoffs. Granted, they won a division that I think they finished 7-9.
Yeah, we called it what, the NFC least for the past few years. You know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
and so like with the Panthers, the Panthers made the mistake of not firing Matt Rule in the offseason, because like if it takes you 5 games to decide, okay, this ain't working, then you made a mistake, letting him back in. And I think the only reason they did that is because his contract is enormous. Like he got a lot for turning that Baylor program around, which seems to be doing just fine without him. And so like, yeah, you could have gotten Daboll, but again, like maybe Daboll wasn't exactly getting hired. Who knows? They could have also went after Nathaniel Hackett, and you see how great that's worked out in Denver. Like you just don't know with these coaches. Like maybe it's too much too soon. Like we didn't really have any expectations for the Giants, which is why we're so shocked that they're 5-1.
Well,
nobody saw that.
I did. I called that.
You did not see 5-1.
I told you.
He didn't say 5-1.
I didn't say 5-1. I didn't put any numbers out there, but I told Snipes and I told all of you. I said, Daboll coming there is going to be the difference. Do not be surprised if they turn this thing around and they're a winning program. Is 5-1 exceptional? Absolutely. But I had no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, but that's like, okay, but you could be like, oh, they're competitive in games that they lose. Like I thought they were going to win 5 games all year. No. 5 games all year and be very competitive, be a hard out. That's what I thought.
I'll tell you right now, I just wanted to see a culture change. And you know what I mean? Getting some big wins, obviously, it's a major culture change. You know what I'm saying? But now, looking at what they're doing to good teams, you know what I'm saying? Like, look, they had no business winning that game today. They had no business beating Green Bay last week. They didn't. They did not have a business winning these games. You know what I mean? But look, Look, Wink is doing an absolute stupendous job calling defense in the fourth quarter. He really is. You know what I'm saying? The whole they have been coached, into wins. Period. They have been coached. And Kayvon, he played great today. You know what I mean? He played great today. Somebody that a player like that is what you need against a guy like Lamar Jackson, and it showed today. You know what I mean? He didn't get a whole bunch of sacks or nothing like that, but he showed effort getting to him and creating certain things.
Yeah, you felt his presence.
He definitely felt the presence. So you know what I mean? So that game, there's no way they should have. I don't know what Lamar Jackson was thinking. You lost yourself a couple million right there throwing that ball the way you did in the fourth quarter. You shouldn't have threw that ball. You know what I'm saying? That was just stupid. You should have did that. It made no sense to me what he did. I mean, I was happy he did it, but it made no sense to me you throwing that ball the way you did. We had no sense, and they shouldn't have won that game. They shouldn't have won that game today. But I'm very happy they did.
But you know what's nice? You keep saying that, and I don't know if that's part of the mojo. You keep talking about, the Giants shouldn't have won. They shouldn't be doing this. They shouldn't be doing that. And they just keep on winning.
So here's the thing. That's like they keep winning one-score games. Like every one of their games have been one-score games.
One-score games. Yeah.
So it's literally a bounce going your way. And right now they're falling their way. And a lot of that has to do with coaching. Like they're not the most talented team in
not at all. And we're riddled with injuries.
Yeah, like your receiving core is almost non-existent.
Yeah,
it's pretty much Saquon and a bunch of dudes.
Yep, basically.
I will say Andrew Thomas has been very good,
been outstanding
as a left tackle. Evan Neal needs some work, but I feel like he'll come with time and. It's impressive what they're doing. I did not expect 5-1. Like I expected them to be a hard out. Like, okay, they're gonna fight, but then they're gonna get overcome by talent because they've beat the last 2 weeks. They've beaten teams you could argue have more talent on their roster than them. Like the Packers, that defense is got a bunch of talent on it. The Ravens have a bunch of talent. And then I'd have to go look. They lost to the Cowboys by 7, and you could argue that that's the most talented team in the NFC, unless you want to talk about my Philadelphia Eagles. But that's neither here nor there. Like the Giants are a definite surprise right now in the league. There's no question about it. No one saw them being 5-1. Nobody saw that coming.
They're a surprise when everybody throughout the entire week is like, I can't wait to hear Ryan Clark tomorrow. Ryan Clark has been on ESPN on a constant basis, just constantly saying the Giants are going to win this game this weekend. And he's been like almost the only person saying that. You know what I'm saying? And everybody was picking the Ravens to win. This guy was like, he looks like he's you know what I mean? He just knew what was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So I can't wait to hear him tomorrow.
And the thing is, like, if you look at the rest of their schedule,
it's beatable. They got action.
They got action.
They got a lot of cupcakes on this schedule outside of the NFC East games.
But that's the thing about the Giants, again, playing to your level of competition. So they could have a cupcake and then blow it on that cupcake team. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I get shook about with the G-Man. Like they've been playing good teams and beating good teams, with the exception of the Cowboys, which are a great team, and we only lost by 7. You know what I'm saying?
Every game they've been in, every game has been
every game we've been in. We've not gotten blown out. No blowouts. Every game we've been in, and that's all Wink wants. He just wants everybody to just stay close. That's it. That's all he wants.
Yeah. So you guys are hard to please. I mean, and the reason why I'm speaking from where I'm speaking from is because you know that I've been a Jets fan. You know that I have seen less than mediocre performances for many, many, many years. So the whole Dable concept, I had a chance to watch him in Buffalo. So I knew what you were getting when he was going to the Giants. But in terms of the Eagles, in terms of the Giants, even when I'm talking to Brian James about the Titans, there's certain things that I see with your teams that I didn't see in the New York Jets for the past couple of years. And so those are reasons that make me believe that your teams are going to have success in certain games and they're going to do very well. I get it. You guys are coming from a different place, but I'm just going to tell you straight up. There's absolutely no reason that the Eagles and the Giants shouldn't make the playoffs. And then there's no reason that the Titans shouldn't win their division. And as far as my New York Jets go, look, they played great against the Packers, okay? They made a lot of adjustments in the second half that paid off. They were very well prepared, and they came out and won. And you know what? I just want to see how long they can just keep it going. Like, there's no reason to overanalyze it, whether it's a close game, whether they came from behind and they caught some breaks. It goes down as a W, gentlemen.
Hey,
that's all you need.
Philly, I'm not even going to overanalyze the Jets at all. I love that defense. I love that defense in the Jets right now, man. It's a young, gritty defense, man. I love that defense, man. And Sauce, I think we talked about him off air. Sauce Gardner right now, he's special. He's special. So I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I think
he looks like the defensive rookie of the year. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at everybody else, but he looks like a defensive rookie of the year right now. Maybe we'd have to look at other guys in the league. I wouldn't know off the top of my head, but like I was also saying to Brian James, like I don't know why the Texans took Stingley over him. I just like Stingley could be good, but Sauce there's just something about Sauce that looks special.
I think the difference was the first 3 years of college. Because Sauce had the last 2 years of his college, great for Sauce. But the first 3 years of Stingley didn't play his senior year. So that's what they were looking at too.
But
and he was hurt. So
it's a what have you done for me lately league.
True indeed.
That's like Sauce is out there guarding the best receiver for the Jets right now. And it's actually awesome to see how good he is, and I think they've instilled a culture around Sauce. It seems like that was like kind of the missing piece.
Yep.
And
that energy.
Like somebody who can get you excited. Like nobody else like on the Jets seems like somebody who can get me excited except Sauce. And it's awesome to see that they're finally turning it around because Jets fans have suffered for a very long time.
Yeah, very long time.
Very low time. All right, we had a great game in the Bills Chiefs. Let's kind of review that game. How did you guys actually feel about the ending of the game? Did you feel the lack of Tyreek? Did you feel
No,
I didn't feel the lack of Tyreek at all. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? But the Bills, they coached it better this time around.
Mm-hmm. They were prepared.
To be fair, let's be fair here.
Von Miller was the difference.
I leave the field with 16 seconds left in the game. I expect my defense to hold them for 50 yards. I expect better from my defense.
Of course.
Go ahead. You can.
No. I just, I get where you're coming from, though, B-Guard. I totally get where you're coming from because, 16 seconds left. That was an atrocity. It really was. But
I think that was more fluke, though. I feel like that was a little fluky.
Yeah. But look, I can almost guarantee you, when we saw that there was like a minute 4 left and they were only up 4.
Oh yeah,
everybody was
too much time.
Like, oh my gosh,
too much time.
Go. You know what I mean? But obviously, they held on. They got a big win here. So I think now that they got, did you guys see? And not even talking about the game. Let's talk about the end of the game. When that interception happened, did you see Josh Allen on the sideline? Did you see how invigorating it was for him? I've seen him be happy after a win. But man, when I tell you, he was on that sideline, just he was going crazy because all he thought in his mind was about that freaking championship, that divisional game, man.
Yeah.
That has been just itching at him. and he couldn't wait to get out here and get a win here today, man. So I'm so happy for them. I'm so happy for them, man. And now I'm intrigued to see what is going to happen when, for the rest of the year. Now I want to see what's really going to happen. You got your one win against the Chiefs. Now I want to see what's going to happen at the end of the year. What are you guys going to do for the rest of the season? You know what I mean? Are you going to coast? Are you going to, continue to play everything seriously like you should be? I want to see what's going to happen now at the end of the season. You got this win is done. This is done. Now you got to think about, almost like me and Philly, when me and Philly always talk about like the Yankees. We don't care about your regular season. Now we want to get to the postseason, see what happens in the postseason. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at now with Buffalo. We know that they're probably the best, not especially now that they beat the Chiefs. They're probably the best team in the AFC. You know what I'm saying? So, but we'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see.
You know what? See, you made a lot of good points, right? Because you talk about our beloved Yankees, but let's be clear. Even though he showed that type of emotion, I have a little bit of concern behind that because the Bills beat the Chiefs last year, in the regular season, and then when it mattered most, they weren't able to get it done. And you can say what you want. You can talk about the slant, and some people, mudheads will be like, "Oh, the zones are broken in real life NFL." Like Tyreek Hill should have never been able to take that to the house. He took it to the house. Okay, they won the game, but at the end of the day, do you really feel like this game makes up for what happened in the playoffs? I know I don't. So I'm just like,
absolutely not.
I'm just like, look, you had an opportunity to win a game today. It was back and forth. It was cat and mouse. We thought that the Chiefs might miss Tyreek Hill. They did not. So they're able to go toe-to-toe. But I want to talk about what B. James said. Who the hell leaves Von Miller one-on-one? I thought the Chiefs made the biggest coaching mistakes at the most critical times in this game. They left Von Miller one-on-one, and every single time he made a play. And I thought it was this stupid.
He caused that pick at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's what I said. Von Miller was the difference.
Right, he was the difference in the
77
fourth
was, he got torched.
Exactly. So I'm just
Whoever
like,
77 was, he was getting torched.
you can't do that. So to me, the Chiefs are the ones that are going to benefit the most because they're not going to make that mistake in the playoffs. They're not giving Von Miller one-on-one, and if they are, whatever play routes they're going to be running, they already know. Look, we got X amount of time to get rid of the ball with him in one-on-one coverage. So I feel like the Chiefs are still going to be the team to beat because when it comes to the playoffs, they've shown that they are the better team. And like Brian James said, it was the Von Miller factor. Why do you leave him one-on-one? I don't know, but he impacted the fourth quarter, and the Bills won again.
Okay. Let's get into some of the biggest letdowns thus far. Let's start with B-Guard because the evil laugh.
I was just about to say,
I'm going to go with the obvious one. Mr. Unlimited. Russell Wilson. Oh, man. Good
it might
God.
be everybody.
It's gotten to the point where I no longer want to see the Broncos on my TV on prime time anymore. Like, it is so bad in Denver. Like that. Like, maybe it has more to do with Nathaniel Hackett, and I could buy that because that dude's a numbskull. Like, he is way over his head with the job he's got. And if I were the Broncos, I'd fire him now. Let's just get it over with. Why wait till the off? Why let him ruin a season in which you don't have a first-round pick, by the way, because you wanted to get this man? Like, why wait? Why wait now? Like, just get it over with. Fire him. You just move on. Start your head coaching search for whoever the hell you want to get. I'm sure there'll be some names that come up. Maybe the offensive coordinator for the Bills, Ken Dorsey. Maybe he's going to get some looks. Maybe Eric Bieniemy. Who knows? But this dude is clearly not it. Like, you have a very talented defense, and it yet again is going to waste because you can't get the quarterback right. And I'm willing to believe that it's coaching, but Russ is also not a very young guy. So time is running out on Russ right now. And so to have him with this coach is a really, really big waste of everybody's time, everybody's money, and everybody's effort. Like, that defense isn't going to be young forever. So I would get started on that head coaching search right now.
Well, you know what? I would have to agree with you in terms of what should happen in Denver. But I will say, when you talk about the biggest letdowns, I don't think that we had the Denver Broncos being the number 1, 2, or third best team in their division. So I'm going with the Oakland, formerly known as Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders. Because for me, they got Devontae Adams. They improved their defensive secondary, and they are not performing to the expectations that were in front of them. And I definitely want to put all of that on coaching, but I'll also talk about culture because Devontae Adams, it's not about his character being in question for pushing the cameraman. It's not even about that. It's about the fact that the level of frustration is not because they're getting beaten by teams. It's because they're beating themselves. And so to me, it's an internal issue. It's a culture issue. Obviously, it's a coaching issue. I still don't know how their head coach got another opportunity. I thought we saw everything that he could do when he was coaching with Denver before. But hey, I'm not an NFL owner. I don't have that kind of money. I can't make those types of decisions. But I will say that the biggest letdown to me has been the Las Vegas Raiders.
I'm gonna go right now with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals right now. These guys can't put points up on the board. They just look lost on the field right now. You know what I mean? I think today, if I am not mistaken, I think these guys had 3 or 4 turnover on downs. You know, punting the ball like mad. 9 total points against the Seahawks. Now, mind you, Seahawks are not playing that bad of football right now. They're really not. You know what I'm saying? But right now, they are definitely, to me, the least of. I mean, they are putrid right now offensively. They are a putrid team. I think, is it this week or next week that D-Hop can come back?
I think it's this week.
It's this week coming up. Okay, so I want to see what's going to happen when he gets back here. But right now, man, like they are just bad. They are awful on offense. They are just,
Hey,
oh
man,
my gosh.
Talk about another coach. Talk about another coach
Yeah,
who probably
that-
needs to go.
Oh, yeah. I think if D-Hop comes back, I'm almost, I'm going to call this out right now. If D-Hop comes back, and let's just say they lose the next 2 to 3 games, and D-Hop is back, okay? I think his coaching job is done. I think he's finished. He's finished. They won't get rid of him until the end of the season, but I think Black Monday, he's the first to go. I think he'll be the first to go. Black Monday. When the season's over, he'll be gone. But
So
Cardinals right now are terrible. They're just
like
awful.
the
right
thing
now.
is, I wouldn't have like this much like passion against Cliff Kingsbury if he didn't do what he did to Kyler Murray in the preseason. It's like, all right, why don't you go play? Why don't you go call plays? Like, let's see how good you are at it. Like, bro, you're not even good at it. Like, why don't you take some time and learn how to call some plays? Like, how are you making Kyler Murray look ordinary? Like, how does that work? And I don't want to hear he's not studying. You can't be as good as Kyler Murray without film study. Could he be doing more? Sure, probably. But to come out and think that, he's just not doing it at all, he's just winging it, is absurd. And a lot of that is coaching.
I was just about to say we could go ahead and take another look at Daniel Jones. How bad and abysmal he has been. And he gets the proper coaching, and now look what he does. He doesn't go out, and he's not putting out mind-boggling numbers, but he doesn't make any mistakes.
He is not costing the Giants.
He's not costing. Exactly. Comes down to coaching.
Well, you guys both talked about it earlier, right? You talked about how in Washington, Rivera throws Wentz under the bus. You talked about how in Arizona, Kingsbury throwing Murray under the bus. Those aren't winning cultures to me. A winning culture is going to be everybody has bought in, everybody is committed to winning. Now, whether you have the talent or not, okay, is something that's going to be evident. And we talked about that a little bit with the Detroit Lions. We talked about how competitive that they were last year. And we talked about how we expected for them to have a much more improved season. We thought that they were going to, based on what happened in the first week against the Eagles. But the culture component is so important. And all those teams that we talked about earlier, they definitely don't have it. Carolina definitely doesn't have it. And that's the number one thing that you have to do. We talked about Trevor Lawrence before. He seems to be in a much better culture with Peterson as his coach. We've talked about Daboll and what's happening with the New York Giants. That culture is better. The New York Jets, they had a hell of a draft. But Saleh has created a culture where they've been focusing on doing the little things, and then you get that infusion of youth and talent, and then the egos are put to the side, and then all of a sudden you win a couple games maybe you weren't supposed to, and now everybody is buying a little bit more, and they're paying a little bit more attention, and all of a sudden they got a winning record. So every one of those organizations that you guys mentioned, I feel like their culture changes have to happen. All of those coaches deserve to be fired because they are all not on the same page. And you have to have that if you want to have a winning organization in sports.
Agreed.
Plain and simple.
Agreed.
Yeah, I might go a step further. Like with Washington, like I don't think the coach change is going to solve everything because they've been just such a mess for the last 20 years. And like, I mean, I think Rivera's not part of the solution. So I guess you should fire him, but Kingsbury, like, what has he done to justify the position that he has? Like he's made the playoffs once, and you can say like he had a ton of talent on that team, and sometimes the talent can be good enough to overcome bad coaching. Like sometimes that can be the case, because like look at Cincinnati. Like, does anybody really think that Zach Taylor is exactly the greatest coach in the world? I wouldn't think so. I don't think so, but they have all the talent in the world that they can overcome bad coaching from time to time. Now, this year, it's kind of not been the same as it was last year because, again, nobody had the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl prior to the season happening. But, it's like you said, the culture, those teams need culture changes. Denver needs a culture change. Arizona needs a culture change. Washington's needed a culture change for 20 years. So
they need a culture change all across the board.
Yeah,
all across the board.
Like we thought that the Lions had something going. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But they got to start winning at some point. Like he's got to start putting results on the board. Yeah. It's cool that everybody likes you. It's cool that everybody plays hard for you. At some point, you got to deliver results.
Yeah. And what about you, B. James? You've been awfully quiet when we talking about cultures and winning programs, but you always have had a lot to say about the Tennessee Titans, but you've never said anything about their culture. You've always talked about their talent.
I think they have a great culture. That's not in question. I think the issue is the GM. The GM has made many of mistakes.
Oh, you have no ligaments in your knee? 5 years, 75.
Yeah, this man is he's either giving contracts to players who have gotten torn ACLs and recovering from them in the midst of them recovering from those torn ACLs, or he's signed players and they went on to get a torn ACL after signing the contract. So it's like we talk about Bud Dupree. He got the big deal. He came off a torn ACL, came back, torn his ACL again, was out. Same thing with
Robert Woods.
Robert Woods off a torn ACL, give him a big deal. And Robert Woods is doing okay though. He's actually been a great pickup for the Titans. He's not AJ Brown, but
yeah, that's the culture thing we were talking about. Like, do we think the Tennessee Titans are the most talented team in the AFC? No. They might.
They're one of the worst teams in the AFC on paper.
But culture-wise, like coaching-wise,
yes,
they're above everybody else in that division.
Vrabel's doing a great job. Like culture-wise, I think that's the only thing keeping them competitive.
So who's your biggest disappointment, Brian James?
My biggest disappointment right now would have to be the Raiders. We had everybody went into high expectations with the Raiders.
I just wanted to say, like, I didn't have very high hopes for Denver, but I didn't think they'd be this. I didn't think they'd be totally unwatchable.
If you think about it, though, they're doing better than the Raiders right now, although they lost to the Raiders.
I don't know. I would rather watch the Raiders. At least the Raiders are fun.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
The Broncos game,
and on top of that, they have bigger names, better players. But Yeah, I'm disappointed with the Raiders. I think it's starting to show that not only is the coaching McDaniel's not what everybody thought he was, but it's also showing that
I would
Carr's
love him
not,
as my offensive coordinator.
yeah,
I think he's
Carr's
a
not what
great
they,
offensive coordinator. And some guys are just coordinators.
yeah,
Like some guys are coordinators. Like Rex Ryan, really great coordinator. Not so great of a head coach. Another guy that I'm trying to think of. Like great coordinators, bad head coaches. Like Buddy Ryan back in the day. Great coordinator, not a great head coach. Like some guys are just coordinators.
So I'm sorry, why are you picking on the Ryan family tree? You said Rex, and then you went after his daddy. I mean,
right now, I mean, let's look at it. He just talked about the Raiders. Let's look at McDaniels right now.
Yeah, great coordinator.
Great coordinator.
Coach.
I mean, a great coordinator in New England.
Yeah.
He was trash when he was in Denver. And when we talk about opportunities being given to people, you know, I don't even want to go into that realm of conversation, but I'm like,
it's kind of hard not
same
to.
thing. But same thing
before this year,
before this year too. Right? What did he do?
Before this year, you were out on Saleh. Like, are you still in on Saleh? Or out on Saleh?
I think when I made that statement, what did I say? I said it depends on what happens in the draft and who they get in the draft. I think I outlined, you know, damn near every player that they ended up picking up. But I was like, they have to get this dude.
You were leaning towards out.
Like I said, I was simply because it wasn't the culture component. It was the fact that the play calling that was happening on both sides of the ball didn't reflect the talent that they had. So my concern was that they were scheming based off of their ideal scheme and not based off the talent that they had. And I think where they made the adjustment is that's what they've done. They have not.
Would you say
they haven't, done anything differently?
Would you say that he was scheming for a defense like the San Francisco 49ers defense and that talent?
Yes, absolutely. And the reason why I was the hardest on him was because I remember when the 49ers had a lot of injuries and their defense was still elite. And I was like, okay, he's going to, regardless of the talent we have on the team, he's going to put them in positions to succeed. And I didn't see a lot of that happening. And like I said, I had some concerns. I was questioning the formations they were using. I was questioning some of the matchups that I saw on the field because it didn't make sense to me. Now, when I watch them play, obviously they go out and they did a lot of things in the offseason. They brought in veteran leadership. They brought in people familiar with the scheme on both sides of the ball. And then they went and they drafted young talent. And when you do that, you have the type of results that we're seeing right now. And when you take Zach Wilson and you say, you know what? You don't need to sling the ball out there like Patrick Mahomes or like Allen. You can just go ahead, get the ball to the playmakers, okay, which may include a check down or something to that effect, right? Let them do what they do, and we'll be successful. So, like I said, but I needed to see that type of growth from Saleh. With Kingsbury, again, I haven't seen it. And Saleh hasn't thrown any of the players under the bus. So I will at least give him credit in that regards. But every other team that we've talked about, that disconnect has been there from a coaching standpoint and also from a culture standpoint.
Yeah, so in the comments, I'm just about to read this. Green Bay, 3-3 start, and they haven't looked good. Like,
they can't score.
It is absolutely insane to me that Aaron Rodgers hasn't looked like Aaron Rodgers, all because Devontae Adams is gone. Like, at least we can say with the Chiefs, like, their offense is fine without Tyreek Hill.
Can I go a little further on that? I'm not just going to call it as just Aaron, Devontae Adams' fault. I think it's Aaron Rodgers' attitude. I really do. I think it's his attitude. I think that I feel like he's already given up on the receivers that he has. He's given up on them.
Yeah, and I think I think they he's not helping their confidence at all.
He's not helping the confidence whatsoever. Yeah. Talking to him in the beginning of the year, the way he was talking to him, you're not helping their confidence whatsoever.
I've seen guys that make it in this league and they don't look like you, bro. That's you can't tell receivers that, bro. You can't tell a young
Right, you
receiver.
can't-
Well, like,
exactly.
that depends on how you take. That depends on how you take it.
No,
I've seen
No.
guys that can make it
No.
in this league, and you don't look like one of them.
You gotta kind of you gotta butter the bread a little bit, man. These guys are catching the ball from you. You know what I'm saying? You gotta butter
it's
the bread a
and you're like,
little bit.
Let's go back on the Aaron Rodgers like wide receiver history. There's a lot of those dudes who really don't like him. Like
Yeah.
Jermichael Finley does not like.
He couldn't
Aaron
stand
Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. He
Greg
couldn't stand
Jennings,
it.
every chance he gets, likes to bash Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think James Jones wasn't a big fan of him either. It's like there's a history of Aaron Rodgers being kind of hard to work with. And, with these younger guys, like, it might be true. Like, you got Dobbs out there. You got Christian Watson, which, to be fair, Watson has struggled.
Yes.
Like, he's not been good. Now, Dobbs has been great.
You mean
Dobbs has been really
Dobbs? Who's or Cobb?
Romeo
Cobb.
Dobbs, dude.
Oh,
Romeo
yeah.
Dobbs. Oh, I'm like, I don't even know why you talking about him because he wanted Cobbs. You know what I'm saying? Randall got hurt today.
Cobb, who,
Yeah,
Aaron likes guys who names rhymes with Cobb.
Tomatoes. Yeah. I know you-
Well, another thing too, not to cut you off, Philly. B-Guard talked about Sauce, a player of the Jets,
yes.
being a huge candidate for like the only candidate for defensive player of the year,
Right.
Rookie.
and I a defensive rookie of the year. And I want to argue that.
Who?
I hope you do because first of all, I don't agree with him. I love Sauce. Don't get me wrong. He's playing out of his mind. But I want to hear the reasons that you have, sir, because you're on the outside.
Okay. That's fair. That is
Okay,
fair.
so
fair.
let's talk. I want to
That's
talk
fair.
about Tariq Woolen. The man has 4 consecutive interceptions in the last 4 games.
Might want to stop trying him.
He's locked down. And the thing about it, which I thought was showed in this game when they were alluded to Kyler Murray not doing film.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch film on this guy, you're not gonna outrun him. You can't outrun him. And they sent Hollywood on so many go routes, and Hollywood taking off looking, and he looked right, go to look back, and then the guys in front of him are on the side. Of him. So it's like,
yeah.
Like, hey, like, this is a thing. Like, don't let it fool you. Size matters. Like,
Yes.
when you have a guy who's 6'4" and can run with Hollywood Brown, you have no shot. Like,
oh yeah,
He's a souped up Richard Sherman.
basically, and that's what they were comparing him to. That's what they were comparing him to.
Richard Sherman.
Yeah, a souped up Richard Sherman, bro. Like he's fast. He runs a sub 4.3, not a sub 4.4, a sub 4.3. He's 6'4". He can jump out of. He could be a basketball player the way he can jump.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like, what round was he? He was a late round pick.
He was like a 5th round pick,
Like
bro.
a 5th round pick, man.
Like, yeah, diamond in the rough. If you talk, yeah, like, you know what? I totally agree. I think Woolen right now is the front runner for defensive rookie of the year.
Well, wait, you don't get to flip flop like that.
Yes, I do.
No, you
Yes,
don't.
I do. Yes, I do.
You was trying to give it to Sauce, and then
Where
Brian
are the
James
rules?
made the argument.
Where are the
and all of a
rules?
sudden, you
I
were
don't.
like, no,
I don't
you're
see
supposed
that in
to-
the
you're
rule
supposed
book.
to counter with
Let
that.
me check in my tablet and see if that's in the
Oh, my
rules.
gosh.
Oh, look at
Oh,
that.
my
It's
God.
not.
That's
Look
terrible.
at that. It's like,
That's terrible. Look. There's
You
no
just mad I
question.
just took it away from a Jet. If
No,
I
I'm
said
not
Kayvon
mad about
Thibodeau, you'd have
I'm
been
not
like,
mad.
oh, that's cool.
No, I'm just saying, like, you didn't even defend your argument. I'm saying that, look, Tariq Woolen, he is definitely balling, and we who do we liken him to? Richard Sherman. Okay, so when you compare him to Richard Sherman, that tells you they knew exactly what type of young man that they were drafting. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at his instincts, when you look at his physicality, when you look at everything that we're showing here on the field, there's no reason to believe that this young man wasn't going to come into this system where they had a slower version of Richard Sherman and that he wasn't going to have success. You know, the hardest thing to do is to look at Tariq Woolen and what he's being asked to do, because that interception is freaking
it's
amazing.
ridiculous. It's
It's
ridiculous.
freaking amazing.
That's
It's
so
ridiculous.
dumb.
That's ridiculous. Like most people aren't even fast enough to bat it down. He got there fast enough to pick it off. You know what I'm saying? And he's giving dudes the cushion, but still beating them to the point of the ball. That's ridiculous.
Look at that.
When you
Yeah,
can
that
give
is
somebody a cushion and
crazy.
beat them to the point of the ball, that's fast, bro.
Yeah, and look at that speed. I mean, this is one of the things that if you're a football player and you know how to control your speed, you can be dangerous. Deion Sanders, primetime himself, he was infamous for that. He would control his speed. He would bait quarterbacks, to make them think that the receiver was open, and then he would do the exact same thing. So yeah, Tariq Woolen is absolutely playing lights out. I think the only difference is what you're seeing, B-Guard, is that Sauce Gardner has shown some consistency with the New York Jets, which is what you're not used to seeing. And so you just instinctively said that. But based on talent and based on accomplishment right now, it's got to be Tariq Woolen hands down. It's got to be him hands down.
I gotta say, like the numbers wise, I'm pretty sure he's better. I think he's probably leading all rookies with interceptions. So like he's been locked down. And that Seattle team's been a little surprising.
They're good, man. Good team.
They're a good young team, and I'm not gonna say they remind you of that team with the Legion of Boom.
They're trying, though. That's the thing, Brian. They're not there, but they're trying.
Keep in mind,
they're getting there.
They don't have Jamal Adams. They're missing Jamal Adams.
Mm-hmm.
They're missing a lot of key components in that secondary, and they're still balling up.
What would happen if they got a healthy Jamal Adams?
They still would be a lot. He would provide a liability.
Coverage. They'd be targeting him.
Yeah,
true.
But because the guy to replace him is actually a good cover guy. But yeah, I honestly believe Geno found a situation that suits his skill set.
Mm-hmm.
They got a solid run game, which I thought they didn't have in the past few years. That was something that they struggled with the run game.
Mm-hmm.
And the O-line, they kind of improved the O-line. I'm not gonna say it's better than the best O-line they've had, but it's better than what
I think that's fair. It's better than when Russ had it. But a lot of that you could say, like, the reasoning for that was we're paying Russ a lot of money.
Yeah.
Our record was always too good to get early in the draft to get these guys until last year when Russ got hurt.
Yes.
So you got to get Charles Cross with the number 9 pick that you got for Russell Wilson.
Yes.
And then they picked up a right tackle later in the draft who's also starting. And they've been really good. And they still
Pete
got
Carroll's
weapons.
good at recruiting. Like let's not get that. He's great at recruiting.
Yeah. And I remember we were killing them when they took Kenneth Walker in the second round when they didn't trade a quarterback. We were killing them. And maybe he saw something he clearly saw something we didn't with Geno. I didn't think Geno was I didn't think he's the best quarterback ever, but I also thought he got a lot of unfair scrutiny back in his Jets days. Like, I didn't think he was the worst quarterback. I think a lot of that had to do with the Jets and the mess they had at that time.
Absolutely.
And so he finally got the stank off of him for it, and he's looked like a starter in this league. Like, he is an above average quarterback, in my opinion.
Well, I don't know if he's above average. I'll say that he's playing very well right now, and I will give the man credit where credit is due. He's had time to mature in this league. He's had time to be in the right culture and environment. And then when you talk about the fact that Jamal Adams isn't there, Brian is absolutely right. He's not a great cover guy, no matter what Madden tries to sell him as. He's still a tremendously talented player, and they can move him around, and he can blitz, and he can be effective. But the thing about the Seahawks that we're seeing is we're seeing the results of the trade with Russell Wilson. We're seeing that this is the same team that drafted Russell Wilson, who was not a first-round pick, who became the legendary quarterback that he did. So to see Tariq Woolen have the success for any other team except for Seattle, you would say, you know what? Well, that's a hell of a pick. But they actually have a history of doing that. And I think that they picked the right players for the scheme that they were putting together. They addressed the offensive line. And, they're playing very well right now.
Well, even speaking of the Legion of Boom, like, I think only one of the notable guys was a first-round pick. Earl Thomas, I think, was the only first-round pick in that secondary when it was at its peak. Brandon Browner was an undrafted free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Sherman was a 5th-round pick. Cam Chancellor was a 6th-round pick. Like, they find guys late in the draft. Like, that is something they've been very good at. The thing they hadn't been very good at up until maybe now is guys in the first round. Those are the ones that they could not get right. Like, they have a huge list of guys in the first round that they've whiffed on. And now I think they finally got it, because like I was thinking, oh, Pete Carroll's on the hot seat. This might be his last year, and they're better than what I thought they'd be.
That is very true. So what about you, Snipes? Do you have any Rookie of the Year nominations?
Nah, Tariq Woolen's my dude. Tariq Woolen's my dude right now, man. I get to see him out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they play Seattle twice. Mm-hmm. So like, I get I've been watching them as well too. So I'm glad. I didn't even know. And everybody that's tuning in right now, I had no idea that B. James was going to put that stuff up. I had no clue. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad he mentioned it, man, because this dude is playing out of his mind right now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I like Sauce. I like him a lot, and he could definitely be one of those guys that can become, a possible Rookie of the Year. But right now, you ask me right now, no question. Tariq Woolen, he defensive player, Rookie of the Year right now for sure.
Yeah. And if you guys don't know Brian James, you already know he's not gonna bring in a knife to a gunfight. He's gonna come with the video representation. He's going to show you so that there's nothing that you can possibly say. So I'm really glad he put that up, because when you see that one play that we looked at where Tariq is playing off. Head is always
it beats somebody to the point of a slap, bro.
That's ridiculous. All he's doing there, he's just throwing that bait out there. Go ahead, throw it to him. I double dog dare you. Yeah. As soon as they throw it, that is it. He's jumping right on it.
All right, and that's our show for today, because the game's about to start, and I don't want to miss it.
Game's already on.
Game's on.
Yeah, it's already on. I got it on my iPad right now.
Too. So, hey, picks for today, picks for today's game. Who you got?
Eagles.
I'm going Eagles.
Fly, Eagles, fly, baby.
Eagles for everybody? I'm going Cowboys. Cooper Rush. Let's go. We'll see. You actually saw Cooper Rush play a lot of preseason games. I think the game Dak's debut year. I went to the game. It was when the Rams first came back to LA, and Dak threw a pass to Dez Bryant, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this guy's gonna start." But then Cooper Rush came in the fourth quarter, and I was like, "Yo, this guy can play too." I actually thought he was black because he was the way he was moving in the pocket at that particular year.
You need to slow down the Cooper Rush love, man.
But
you need to slow down.
B-Guard ain't trying to hear that right now.
Listen, Cooper Rush he's playing very well. He is playing very well.
I thought he was just as good.
When people are going out of their way to say he's better than Dak, you're
I thought like watching that preseason game, Dak's rookie year, Dak came in and played. He started that game because Romo wasn't playing. And then he came in through the touchdown pass to Dez, and it was, okay, Cowboys lit. LA was lit. And then, Cooper Rush came in. Cooper Rush balled out too. I'm like, okay, they got two quarterbacks. So, I'm just gonna leave that there with you guys. That Cooper Rush is not a bum. He's a dude that can actually play.
He's made himself a lot of money this
year. He may even be more accurate than Dak, in my opinion. So that's just my opinion.
But that's not fair. That's too early to tell. NFL.
No, I'm talking about.
There's not enough game film on him though.
We get that.
We need to stop. This is where we need to stop. We get that. He is not better than Dak. And I'm
get that preseason game out here every year. Rams and Cowboys, and I go to the Cowboys camp every year. And like I said, he may be more accurate than Dak. That's just my opinion. I'm not gonna say he's better than Dak. He may not be a better leader. He may not be a better playmaker. But what I've seen, he can play, and he may be more accurate than Dak. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
But we're gonna watch this game, and we're gonna see.
We're gonna see.
You're the only one picking the Cowboys and talking about how great he is. We're gonna see what happens tonight.
Okay. Hey, we'll see. So we'll see you guys next week.
Read between the lines. Read between the lines, Brian James.
Staying number one.
We'll see you guys. Actually, we'll see you guys tomorrow for the game of the week that V-Guard will be featured in.
Yes.
So make sure you guys come back tomorrow. What time we doing this, Snipes?
You know what? We could do it at let's do it at 8:30.
Okay, 5:30 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 Eastern.
Okay, and we'll be here with that, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.